No one likes to talk about accountability. It's become kind of a dirty word. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan with a reflection on life and liberty. We like being given credit, and we can stomach a friendly criticism. Most people, though, rebel against accountability personally and professionally. You know where this is going. And yes, I know the last election is long over. And yes, I know the new sessions of the legislature and Congress are just kicking off. So some of you are wondering why I would be talking about accountability now. That's because the need for accountability never ends. Frankly, the lack of political accountability has allowed cronyism and corruption to undermine our republic. In part, it's because we treat the art of governing like a game. Most of us focus on the major leagues, the elephants versus the donkeys. A few people enjoy the minors, with less sexy names like Greens and Libertarians. In the gamification of politics, though, none of us actually want to be seen as criticizing our own team. We vehemently condemn the others, even when it's our own team that's stabbing us in the back. First, we need to back off from the political teams and sides and remember that as citizens, we're the masters and guardians of this republic and our rights. Not the politicians, not the bureaucrats, not their cronies. Second, we must stop treating politicians like celebrities. They're our servants. If at lunch a waiter spills coffee on your colleague's lap and laughs about it, you're unlikely to leave a tip or even visit that restaurant again. It's not personal. You just don't want to take the risk of wearing coffee. Yet in politics, we let our servants run roughshod over us, and then we thank them for doing so. It's insane. Third, it's easier to blame someone else. It's easier to assign fault to politicians from somewhere else than to admit we might have made a bad choice in a previous election. If the incumbent on our ballot was a disappointment, we seem to think that means we failed. In defiance of rationality, we re-elect our incumbents while wanting everyone else to ditch theirs. We want political accountability to be what other voters do to their incumbents. On the other hand, we want to preserve our name on the incumbent's Christmas card list and be in the good graces of the local establishment. We should treat electing politicians like hiring employees in our businesses. When an employee doesn't work out, the business owner or hiring manager doesn't take it personally. Those things happen. The resume and interview were great, but the employee failed to perform. Move on to someone who will. The results of an accountability mindset might end on Election Day, but it starts when the governing season begins. For the state legislature, that starts in earnest on Tuesday, January 14th. Ethically, we can only hold people to standards we tell them we're using. This means we must be in constant communication with both our elected servants and our fellow citizens. We must continually remind the politicians of our expectations and encourage our neighbors and friends to do likewise. We must track the servant's performance, or lack thereof, and ensure they know that we know what they are doing in our name, for better or for worse. Yes, there's an entire industry in our state and national capitals devoted to shielding politicians from accountability, but their deceitful efforts only work when we aren't paying attention and when we're not actively engaged. In this self-governing republic, accountability must be our civic watchword. We must give credit where it's due, assign blame for failure, and always do so by putting the ideals of liberty, the ideals of America, first. That accountability begins now. The Reflections podcast is presented by Texas Scorecard. If you like today's message, be sure to rate it, leave a review, and encourage your friends to listen. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan. Thanks for listening.